If that wasn't good enough. That was amazing, Christy and David.
Oh,
Thank you. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, who is very familiar to some of us. If we ever took a practitioners panel here, we probably at least met Jerry and or had to impress her. Rev.Jerry Hobby is a visionary leader, coach, teacher, and speaker who has dedicated her life to uplifting humanity. She has over 20 years of experience supporting families and moving through life-changing events. Her work has included developing vibrant and thriving programs that help people grow in their self-awareness and their understanding of themselves. These programs are engaging, playful, and insightful. They support people in their evolutionary process. Her work is founded on spiritual practice and teaching life-enhancing principles that are applicable in our daily lives. She has included this in her work with volunteers in team-building programs. She created training retreats for volunteers and groups interested in the anchoring and developing a foundation for their organizational growth. It has helped them to expand and grow in optimizing their potential. Reverend Jerry's goal is always to empower people and support them in learning and applying tools that assist them in their healthy lives. The thing she is most proud of is her ability to teach people about their relationships with themselves. Her message is that they are valued and loved. As they grow in this understanding, they are able to live a God-filled life. To find out more about Reverend Jerry, visit her website at revjerry.net. And now, my pleasure, my new friend, Reverend Jerry Hobby.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. You know, I greet you all with heartfelt gratitude. I am so grateful to be here this morning with you in community. And, you know, it took a lot for me to get prepared. I tell you, I started over the holidays. My family came down from Northern California, and they brought me lots of gifts. And one of the gifts they gave me was this cute little girl, 2 years old. She just batted her eyes at me, and she says, "Can you help me get dressed so I can go out and have fun?" And she sneezed all over me. So the result is I have this sultry voice today. And this sultry voice is intended to make an impression upon you today. So you'll have to hear me another time when you hear my other voice. But today, what I want us to do is I want us to laugh. I want us to have a good time. And we've already set the tone. And I thank everyone. Annabelle, you were just fabulous. And Christy, my God, you got that energy going. And this is what this is all about. So I want us to have a God experience. And for me, a God experience is just living life with gusto and with reverence. So are we in agreement about that? Yes. Great, great. I love it when you say yes. So to get us started, I just want us to take a moment and pause, just to allow ourselves to get grounded. So I'm going to invite you to just take your feet and put your feet on the ground and just breathe. And as you allow your feet to just be placed on the ground, I just want you to imagine it touching the earth, going beyond the layers of the earth, down, 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 down into the center of the core of the earth. And I'm inviting you to just move into that space and just open your heart wider than you have ever opened it before. And as you open your heart wider than you've ever opened it before. I'm just going to invite you to just magnify that presence of love. Just magnify it. Magnify it within your being. The center, the core of your being, from your feet all the way up, just radiating all around you. And let's just move it even further. Just magnify it through this sanctuary, through every single building here, right where the children are in junior church, all throughout this campus, beyond this campus, touching your neighbors, magnifying that presence over there at the school and everyone that dwells around here throughout this city. And let's just magnify it in the world right now. And I'm inviting you right now, if you will just take your hands and just hug yourself. Just hug yourself. And repeat after me. Wonderful, wonderful me.
Wonderful, wonderful me.
Just breathe that in. And let's just magnify it one more time. And let's just allow it to go before us and prepare the way for this service and beyond this service, and yes, throughout this year. And just gently bring yourselves back here into this space. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Yes. And so this inspiration came from the Science of Mind text, Law of Attraction. Ernest Holmes talks about how the teachers would teach the students in the mystery school. And what they would do is they would teach their students how to nurture themselves as they grew through their learning process about spiritual principles and the application of law. So I am inviting you today, and I'm going to give you permission. If something happens during the service where a chord is struck and you just need to just move into that space, just quietly, just nurture yourself. And just say, wonderful, wonderful me. In the same token, I'm also going to give you permission to respond however you choose to respond. And I love it when you say amen. So that's perfect. So you have the freedom to respond if something sounds good to you. And you might even hear some people out there that says ashe. Ashe means may your words have power. So you can say whatever it is you want. What we're doing here is we're here to celebrate life, and we have come here to celebrate it abundantly.
Amen.
Yes, yes, I love that. So traditionally, this time of the year, we focus on the basics. The basics of our teachings. We go back to our philosophy. We go back to all of those things there and what we truly believe. But today I want to do something different. And the reason I'm doing something different is because I'd like for us to incorporate that, but I want us to move a little bit deeper. And the purpose of us moving a little bit deeper is we get an opportunity to make a difference in the world. We're part of a group consciousness today. And that group consciousness that we're in, it is about creating a world that works for everyone. So I'm joining a lot of ministers today, this morning, and we're advocating the inclusive nature of God. This is what we teach. And a vision of a world that works for everyone. Now this comes from our global vision, the global vision of Centers for Spiritual Living. And what we say is we envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. In our declaration of principles, we believe that the ultimate goal of life is to be a complete emancipation from all discord of every nature, and that it is sure to be attained by all. What this means from the Science of Mind perspective is that we teach that this is an abundant universe, that there is no lack, There is no limitation. There is nothing missing. There is plenty of everything. Everything that is necessary to feed us. There's more than enough water, and we're demonstrating it this week, by the way. Education, and that nature, things that we need to nurture ourselves and to care for ourselves, it's available to everyone and everything. As a matter of fact, Ernest Holmes says, there is a power for good in the universe greater than you, and you can what? Use it. Exactly. So I consider these words to be very sacred. And I've applied it when I've had that sense of lack or limitation. You know, sometimes in this human experience, we go through that. And what I have found is that there is more than enough. You see, I believe our challenge is not scarcity. That challenge has to do with the limited consciousness. And I truly believe that everything begins in consciousness. We're being called to grow deeper. And as we grow deeper, we will discover who we truly are. I believe that we are here at this time for a purpose. And that purpose is to uplift humanity and to reveal our magnificence. Each one of us are extraordinary beings, and we are here having a human experience. Repeat after me. I'm an extraordinary being. It's your truth. Yes, it is. And I want you to always remember that. Now, in this experience, we get to prove God. So my definition of God is nothing more than pure love. And in our most recent months, we've had an opportunity, we've had a call from humanity. And that humanity is asking us to remember this truth. For many of us, it can show up individually in our lives. Perhaps we're moving through some health challenges right now, or maybe perhaps we're moving through some economic challenges, or maybe it's just that we need to know that we're valued and that we're loved. Now, globally, we're hearing screams. Look at this. I'm seeing these chickens run through here. They said, I want to be a part of this process too. So globally, we're hearing these screams of hurt and despair, and it's all wrapped up in anger, frustration, and fear. So our job as a collective group is to support a great awakening, that awakening in humanity, because it's calling us. And what everybody wants to know, and I'll tell you what humanity really wants to know. Does anybody know anything about love, peace, abundance, and joy? And like many evolutionary leaders, some of the ones who know the master teacher Jesus, how about Gandhi and Martin Luther King and many others? We're being called to a higher purpose. We're being called to answer and to respond to a vision of a world that works for everyone. So Chris Michaels, in his book, The Power of You, Discovering Your Authenticity, he says, this awakening is happening individually, one person at a time, but it's also happening collectively to the entire race. The giant is waking up. The divine spark within us has been lit. And this is causing us to move out of the survival-oriented species we used to be into a co-creative partnership with spirit. The purpose of this awakening is for us to fulfill our destiny, to create a world that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. It is to awaken us to our connection to every life on the planet. This is evidence of conscious awakening everywhere. The most compelling is the consciousness awaken everywhere. The most compelling, is the appearance of so many visionaries in the world today. Historically, visionaries are the predecessors in creating a new story of how we show up as a people. In the ancient past, very few could actually see our future destiny. The gifted few who would come along, and every century or two hint that we are created from something greater. In one way or another, every spiritual leader and visionary has said the same thing. Now, we are God's. The things I do, you shall do, and even more. So what we're here to do is we're gathered in this sacred space that we call sanctuary, and we're here to serve a purpose. This space here is a refuge. It's a place for renewal. It's a place of self-discovery and understanding. And in that self-discovery, it allows us to release discord, fear, pain, and ignorance. It gives birth to that next great impulsion that Ernest Holmes spoke of. It leads to that personal transformation, and ultimately that transformation of the world. That's the reason we're here. Ernest Holmes and George Bindle in the book, The Philosophy of Ernest Holmes, says transformation takes place here. It takes place right here. You don't have to wonder if it's taking place out there. The world will come when enough of us see through the night into the celestial light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Within spaces like this, we get to discover our unlimited nature. It nurtures us and it creates a safe space for us to break down the walls and barriers from discovering our true nature. You see, it teaches you to love yourself. And through that practical application of spiritual practices, in a sense, what I'm saying is that we're in a mystery school right now. This is a mystery school where we get to grow in our enlightenment. And enlightenment allows the darkness to be consumed. We become a tipping point, a place of change and transformation. This is what I love about these teachings. That's what I really love about them. For I know that as we understand ourselves and the power of love, we grow and we discover our purpose. And I know that each and every individual here in this room, you all have a purpose. That purpose is important for humanity right now. I paraphrase Ernest Holmes, and he says the only intention that God would have for man or woman, I like to put that part in there, is to leave him or her alone to discover themselves. And as they discover themselves, they become a light. So that is what this is all about. That's the reason we've shown up here today. That light transforms into a world where creative ideas emerge and support the good for all. Families all around the planet feel love. It's so interesting. I've had so many wonderful conversations, and in light of what has happened in San Bernardino, because things kind of seem like they're coming in close to us right now, doesn't it? But it was quite interesting to have a conversation with a person, and they said, you know what? I travel all around the world, and we all have the same needs. So if we can stand in that place of love and compassion, we can be in that space, and we can create a sense of value where we all feel valued, loved, and uplifted. This is part of a world unfolding in peace, and this is part of lifting humanity. So in order to do this, what we must do is be diligent in our spiritual practice. So like Rumi, we must practice the dance with intention. We, like Buddha, must move into that space of enlightenment. And as he moved into that space of enlightenment, what he experienced was expansion. I always say, whatever we focus on, it expands within our lives. Jesus focused on the light, and that light changed many situations. He said, you too will do these things and even more. Yes. Rumi says, your task is not to seek love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. He also says, the wound is a place where the light enters. We've all had some wounds in our life, in our lifetime, and in our experience. And I'm inclined to agree with Viktor Frankl, a survivor from a Jewish concentration camp, when he says, it does not matter what happens to you in life. The question is, how do you respond? Now, while he was there in that concentration camp, he made a life decision that was very important for all of humanity. He says, when I get out of here, I'm going to teach people about love. And when he said that, immediately what ended up happening was he started to counsel those people that were his perpetrators. And as he continued to do that, he became that source where he brought peace and harmony. Now, I say this and I share this with you, but he went on to expand, and he committed his whole life to the very last breath, being fully present in what he knew about love and that practice of love, and it did make a difference. Something divine within you is seeking the light. That's my message today. And as it seeks the light, you might need to abandon some old methods, some habits, some ways of operation that are no longer serving you. Let me give you an example. In growing up, many of us were told we were stupid. Can anybody relate to what I'm talking about? Okay. And I've been on a campaign for a long time with stupid. As a matter of fact, my family knows me so well. My sister says, I know you don't, I know that you don't like that word stupid. You don't like for us to call people stupid. And, you know, I know that stupid wants to be liberated also. I used to remind my nieces and nephews to release stupid, to let stupid go. And a couple of years ago, over at the Riverside Church, I was the director of the Youth and Family Village. And we had a special ceremony. And that purpose of that ceremony was for us to let stupid and all those words that related. And it was quite interesting, all the words that came up when we started to talk about stupid and all the different ways it's been expressed. We had a ceremony where we released stupid and we opened up to something even greater. Ben Zander, in the book, The Art of Possibilities, Transforming Professional and Personal Lives, says, how often do we stand convinced of the truth of our early memories, forgetting that they are assessments made by a child? We can replace the narrative that holds us back by inventing wiser stories, free from childish fears. And doing so, disperse long-held psychological stumbling blocks. Jesus said, "Be ye reformed by the renewal of your mind." Renewal means to live from a place of wholeness. It requires that we become willing students of wisdom and enlightenment in our application of spiritual practices. So what do I mean by spiritual practices? My perfect example is Jack Kornfield. And he says that spiritual practice is revolutionary. It allows us to step outside of our personal identity, our culture, and religion to experience more directly the great mystery, the great music of life. So there are so many tools that we can use and we can apply in this process. Just the study of principles can make a difference. Prayer, I love prayer. Meditation and visioning are some of my favorite tools. And what I found is that these things have allowed me to go beyond what I know and to experience love in a greater way. So if you ever feel that you have a stumbling block, sometimes it's just a matter of stepping out of all of those things there and just opening up. It is amazing. I look over here at these musicians, they kind of smile. I know that they're really picking up on this part here. It's amazing in terms of what you experience. That's the reason I like hanging out with artists. I love playing with artists because you get to explore those many different possibilities and experience the richness of life. These teachings for me are like apple pie. And you know I love me some apple pie. And what I love about places like this is the place where we can participate in classes that are going to support us in our understanding of ourselves. And that's what life is all about. It's about understanding ourselves. Classes can be liberating as they create a space for self-discovery. And classes will support you in the use of your spiritual tools, you know. We get an opportunity. Sometimes we know these things, you know, how you know it mentally. But, you know, we don't embody it. We don't embody it because we don't practice, we don't apply it. But when you're in classes, you get that opportunity to move into that space, and we get to practice prayer. We get to practice meditation and visioning. And, you know, if you were to ask these musicians right now, how do you get to Carnegie Hall, they would tell you, practice, practice, practice. The application of these tools can lead us to our authentic self. And the more we discover the authenticity, the more we become appreciative of life. And out of that appreciation, we get to discover the infinite beauty of living. That's the most important part, is discovering the infinite beauty of living. And we discover the relevancy of it in each person and thing in the world. We're able to be more compassionate with ourselves and all the people around us. Ernest Holmes says, life is a mirror, and it will reflect back to the thinker what the thinker thinks into it. So this creates a place for healing, and that's what this is all about. So I'm going to close with a story. I want to share this story with you. And I didn't even know what story I was going to share until yesterday, and I received this call. And it was from a student, a former student of mine. And she was just calling. She wanted to follow up and just give me an update about what has been going on. She'd called me earlier in the month of December, and she was not feeling very well. She was a little down. She was plagued with a lot of decisions, decisions that were relevant to her living conditions and also the direction in terms of where she was going to be going in this coming year. And out of our conversation and prayer, She got some clarity in the direction she was headed. And part of it included finding a stable home that would allow her to rejuvenate, that was close to where she was working. And she was looking for some changes in that work situation also. She's anticipating and planning for that. And as I prayed and came out, she says, you know what? She says, I came to the conclusion, and this is very important. She says, I found out that I am important and that I matter. And you know, the thing is, we all are important. And that would be my wish for every single person here in this room. It would be my wish for every truth student. It would be my wish for every single person in this world to know that we are valued and that we matter. We are all part of the fabric of life. That is important. So what I did was I gave her self-work assignment. Instead of saying homework, I like, and I think it is very important for us to stand in that place and say, it's time for us to go and do our self-work. So I gave her a self-work assignment, and that self-work assignment, which was wonderful, I loved that visualization that you did, because I asked her, I said, I want you to go and I want you to visualize your perfect home. And not only do I want you to visualize your perfect home, I want you to visualize it and you're traveling back and forth to work with ease and grace. And my assignment was for her to do it in the morning, twice a day, start off in the morning, and to seal it before going to bed again. So in a couple of days, she called me and she told me, I'm feeling so much better, and I'm practicing, I'm doing this. So then a week later, she leaves a message for me. And her message is, I found a place. She was so excited about it. She says, now I get to map out how I'm going to get to work and everything. And she was very, very excited and grateful. And then I received a call yesterday, and she wanted to let me know. She says, Rev.Jerry, I want you to know that I've moved into my place. And you know what? This is the exciting part, though. She says, it's not the place I told you about. She says, I kept hearing you say this or something better. She said, this or something better made an impression upon me. So I found another place, and it is so much better. Not only is it so much better, she says, I don't have to travel 2 hours to get to work. She says, it only takes me maybe about 20 to 30 minutes to get to work using public transportation. Wow. And the exciting part about that whole experience was that something better, because she caught it. We don't have to make things happen. Sometimes what we try and do is we get so excited about these teachings and these principles, and we just want to make it and force it to happen. And you do not have to allow anything to happen. All we need to do is just open our hearts and just be a willing instrument of spirit. And everything has a way of working itself out. This is what it's all about. Living in a world that works for everyone. It creates that space where things are stress-free. And the thing that I like most about it is we talk about that word work. Work, for me, this is my perspective, jobs, work, I think of it as being nothing more than being in sacred service. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine going to work and being in sacred service, and the people that come up and that are in service to you, they're in that space of sacred service, they're in that space of pure love? What a difference that it could make. So this all requires that we take time out to quiet ourselves, to quiet the mind, so that these divine ideas can reveal itself. I was hanging out with this nun that's over in Grand Terrace, and they called her this New Age nun. Sister Joan Sasasi. And she says the world has sped up, and it truly has. But it is important for us to move into that place and to give ourselves that breather where we can just slow down and we can focus. We can open our hearts in a deeper way, and we can allow those divine ideas to come. My point is that when we all learn to respond from the space of love, it will respond to us in kind. Ben Sanders in The Art of Possibility reminds us, in the measurement world is that world outside there. We set a goal and we strive for it. In the universe of possibilities, that's when we slow down, we move within. You set the context and your life unfolds. That's what we mean by setting an intention. So today, we have an opportunity to choose how we will respond to life. Will we choose to respond from a place of being a victim or an initiator of change that brings about transformation? This is what that great spiritual impulsion is that Ernest Holmes spoke of. And he says, it has taken humanity thousands of years to learn it has the power to control its own destiny. So we're at that point right now. We come back to the thought, envisioning a world that works for all people. This is not exclusive to any particular faith. It's not. It is something that is desired by, I would say, the majority of the world. We want something that works for us all. But part of our job is not to go out there and convince anyone else. Part of our job is to work within ourselves in knowing this and experiencing this. We get to be the spiritual prototype. We get to create that mental equivalent within ourselves. Now, creating that is going to require that we are persistent, and it's also going to require that we are persistent in that whole process. But if we are persistent and consistent in that whole process through our spiritual practice and with our behavior, it becomes a reality in the world. So I want to thank you right now. Namaste. Thank you, thank you.